Hello and welcome to the Robin Knits podcast. This is not a regular podcast episode. This is going to be a summer knitting plan episode. So I just want to talk a little about the patterns and yarns that I've been thinking of when I'm thinking of summer knitting, and I also want to do a quick recap of what spring knitting looked like for me. So if this is something you would enjoy, I hope you grab something nice to drink, get comfortable, grab your knitting, and I hope to keep you company while you knit. I'm Rhoda and I live in Toronto with my husband Sam, and I'm coming to you on a very hot day. The hot weather has made me crave summer knits, but if you look at my summer knitting plans, I do not have a large opportunity of working with summer yarns. Actually, I will be working more on sweaters, but it is what it is. Before I start with the summer knitting plans, I want to give a brief about what my spring knitting looked like, and then we'll talk about the summer knitting plans. Now for spring knitting, there were some projects that came in from my winter knitting, and winter knitting I did not really have a plan, but there were some things on my needles that moved into my spring knitting. The first one was penny gloves. I finished one half of it. The other pair, the second part of the pair, was supposed to be finished, and it was part of my spring knitting plans, but honestly I never got around to it. I did not even cast on the second glove, and I've been having a serious case of second glove syndrome, and so that has been sitting. It's going to move into my summer knitting plans in the hopes that I would finish it sometime soon. The second project that I brought in from winter was the baby bear suit. It was supposed to be an entire suit, but I ended up making it into a cardigan because it was starting to warm up and I did not feel the baby would get a lot of use out of a suit, and the cardigan was helpful. So I managed to finish that. I finished a couple of test knits. The first one was John Arbon's shawl, and this was a part of my spring knitting plans. Instead of making it the size of a shawl, I ended up making it the size of a scarf, and I'm hoping to wear it as a neck kerchief or a head kerchief. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet because it has been really warm and I don't want to think of wool or see anything woolly on me, but I'm hoping to make use of that when it starts getting cooler sometime in September maybe, but not until then. I do have it around, and if I feel I can, if there is a day that I feel I can use it, I would probably make a use of it. I finished a gift knit, which was this sibling sweater. It is the first part of 3 sweaters that I wanted to make. So the first sweater is over, and I'll talk about the next sweater in my summer knitting plans. I was also able to finish my April cardigan, and this was something I've been wanting to do ever since I started knitting, and I was able to make it with the modification. I made it with double knit button band, and it was a very, very pleasant knit. I got a lot of use out of it because I finished it by the beginning of May, and so I've had enough time to use it. It is now resting, and I'm going to bring it back by the end of September in the fall to start wearing it again. I finished the Perfect Knit Tee. The Perfect Knit Tee was not a tee because I again made a lot of modifications. It became more like a blouse. It has more of a slouchy, loose fit look, and I usually wear it as a layering piece over my summer garments. I wear it mostly in the evenings when it's cooler, or I wear it when my summer dresses are a little too strappy and I'm uncomfortable. I use it as a layering piece. It is out of cotton bamboo yarn, so it has worked perfectly for the summer. I finished another test knit. This was the Movement Tee by Lily Kate France, and I have not really used it. Even though the yarn was 50% merino and 50% silk, it has been really warm and I have had no desire to wear it yet. The sleeves have also been really short, and I have gone ahead and got a ball of yarn in the main color to make sure I increase the sleeve length a little so that I can wear it the way I want to and enjoy wearing it. The last 2 projects in this category that I'm talking about were unplanned ones. One was a test knit. This was for Alicia Plummer. This was a cami. It's not released yet, and I haven't really put up pictures of it, but I'm going to just put a quick picture over here, and I'll talk a little more about it in detail once the pattern is released in one of my podcasts. I also completed a traveler's hat. This was part of Andrea Mowry's Spring Knit Along. She usually does a hat pattern in the summer and the sock pattern in the fall. I know I'm going to get second sock syndrome if I do the sock pattern. I am going to try and attempt it though, but I decided to do the hat pattern and I was very, very happy with it. I know it's one thing off my gift knitting for December, so I am happy that I got that done. There are 2 test knits that I started, and I'm going to be taking it into my summer knitting plan, so I'll talk about that when I talk about the summer knitting plans. I scrapped one project completely, which was the cold lemonade. The cold lemonade, this was a tea, and I actually like this pattern because of the colors and how the colors were laid out. But now, after being an experienced knitter, I feel I could do that with any other pattern that I already own. I actually own this pattern, but the size range is really limited. It just has small, medium, and large. But even for someone like me, I feel I have to knit between sizes, and I do not have the brain space to do the math, so I've put that on hold. I may probably never go back to that pattern, but I am going to input the colors that I envisioned from that pattern into another pattern and see if I can make use of that. There were 2 sweaters that I did not work on at all. The first one is the direction loop sweater. I have to actually harvest yarn from another project to work on it, so that has been on hold. And the next one is a Stockholm sweater. I'll again talk about it a little more in my summer knitting plans. Now for my summer knitting plans, I'm going to talk about them in 4 different categories. I'll start with the test knit, and then I'll move on to the gift knits. I'll move on to garments that I want to make for myself, and then I will move on to some accessories that I've been wanting to make. So starting with the test knits, I have one big test knit, which is the Unnamed Jumper. It is by the Petit Knitter. It is a color work jumper. I'm working on it using 5mm needles and worsted weight yarn held with the mohair, and so it has made me very hesitant to pick this and knit as often as I want to, but I want to try and finish it in time for giving the feedback for the test knit. The test knit is also a very secret test knit, so I'm not able to show pictures as of now, but once the pattern is out, I'll talk a little more about it in one of my podcasts. I do not know when this pattern is going to be out, but I'll just have to wait and see. There have been no dates given even for a test knit deadline, but I feel that should make me feel more worried about finishing it on time, and so that is going to be a big priority for me. The next project is again a test knit. It is the Forever Rib Dress by Anne Catherine, and I'll put pictures of what the pattern is supposed to look like. It's a beautiful pattern, and I have decided to knit at least a midi length dress, so it's somewhere between the knee and the calf, and I started working on it. I finished the back panel, I finished the front left and right panels, and I've joined them together. I'm yet to join them I've yet to join it for going on to knit the body, but that is a work in progress as well. This I have been using a summer yarn. It is Purl Soho's Cattail Silk in the colorway Fallen Leaves, and it's a beautiful colorway. I'm hoping to finish it by early August. That's when I'm supposed to give feedback about yardages and things like that. So I'm hoping to finish it by early August, and once I'm done, I wanted to have it ready to wear in the fall. Moving on to gift knits, there are 4 garments in my gift knits. One is a sibling sweater, so it is for a kid. I'm hoping that goes by quickly, although this is the largest kid size, which is 10 to 12 years old. But based on the last sibling sweater I made, I feel it could go quickly. It's stripes, it's very addictive, and so I'm hoping to get a good start on it and finish it on time. I need this ready for December. I'm giving all of the sweaters together for Christmas, and so I know I don't have to rush on it, so this might be a project which I might probably keep for September or late August. I may not touch it before that. There is also the direction loop sweater, which I brought in from my spring knitting. Like I was saying, the yarn is supposed to come off a sweater that I've already crocheted, and just harvesting that yarn has put me off for a little while, but I want to make it a priority and try and finish it. This again, I need it only by December, but I still want to make sure I have a head start for it. The third gift knit is a Stockholm sweater. You would have seen it because I did cast it on and I showed it in one of my podcasts. This is what it's looking like as of now, but if you look at the stitches, and like this again I spoke about in the last podcast, I have been twisting my knit stitches, so I'm going to take this apart and cast this on again. If you look at this is textured, unlike the stockinette knit on the Stockholm sweater, but I did want to make it more textured, make it a little more interesting, and I have borrowed the textured pattern from one of Andrea Mowry's knits. I think it's called the Kingston Tunic, and I have borrowed the texture from there. It has been fun to knit. It's actually very intuitive, and I'm looking forward to casting this on again. This is in the yarn I'm using for this is Drops Daisy, and this is the colorway Parrot Green. My last gift knit is supposed to be for Sam, and I am actually faltering between two patterns. I do not know which one to cast on. There is the Care pattern by Rebecca Clow, and there is the Saltburn by the Knit Purl girl, and so I'm very confused between these two patterns. I want to do the Saltburn sweater, but I have never seen too many men wear a round yoke sweater, and I'm worried about how it could look on a male figure, and so I am a little hesitant to cast it on, although that would be my first choice. So this is what the main color would be. This is Purl Soho's Good Wool in the colorway Teal Abyss, and this is Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Dusty Petroleum. So I'm going to hold this together for the main color, and this is going to be the contrast color. This is the undyed colorway, again Purl Soho's Good Wool. I got Knitting for Olive so this is going to be held with Knitting for Olive in the colorway Cream, and while I'm excited to cast it on, I need to figure which particular pattern I'm going to cast on, and I know it's going to take me a while to figure that. So this probably I'll cast on by the beginning of September or the end of August, just to give myself enough time to swatch, think about it, look at what the fabric looks like. Because the Saltburn sweater is on 5mm needles and the Care sweater is on 4mm needles. So based on that, probably based on how the fabric looks, I will also ask Sam what he thinks and then make a decision about that. Moving on to knits that I want to make for myself. The first one is the Sabai top by Susan Miller, and it is a new design. It's beautiful. I've been looking at it on and off, and this was one of the patterns that I looked at first for summer knits that then got me looking at all the other new releases for tanks and camis, whatever came out in 2024, but I have been hung on this. I like how it has a boat neck. It has good coverage of the upper body. It also has good coverage of the top parts of the shoulder, which is something I am a little conscious about. So having something that perfect is going to be wonderful in my wardrobe. And so for that, I have decided to use this yarn. This is Knit Picks Lindy Chain and the colorway Plum. I initially thought I would use this for my blouse number 1 and hold it with Knit Picks Lindy Chain Ash, but I made a swatch. I really did not like how the fabric looked. I initially liked it, but as I kept feeling it, I do not like how it feels at all. I do not like how it's supposed to be drapey, but it's not. And so I want to use probably a thinner yarn. I'll talk about that for my blouse number 1. But this I'm going to hold double for my Sabai top. And I am looking forward to doing that. Also, when you look at this yarn, it's not like the light fingering that I've been working with lately. This is a thicker fingering weight yarn. It's somewhere between fingering and sport weight, and so holding it double for a Sabai top, I think I should be able to handle that a lot better than holding this double for something that's supposed to be really drapey like the blouse number 1. So for the blouse number 1, I have decided to hold these two together. This is supposed to be a low contrast top, but I don't know how much contrast this is going to give. I'm assuming this would still be low contrast because the yellow is not too deep. It is a mild custard yellow, and when you hold that with white, it should blend pretty well. This is Sandnes Garn Tynn Line, and I made the cami that I test knit for Alicia Plummer using this yarn. I held it with another silk lace weight yarn, but working with this yarn was just wonderful. I did have to use bamboo needles, and I think I would do that when I'm doing the blouse number 1 as well. But I'm looking forward to wearing this as a knit fabric. I'm looking forward to seeing how it feels. The camisole that I knit is very cool to the touch. It's very breathable, and so I'm hoping to have a good summer piece with this. The last pattern that I'm looking at for knitting for myself is the Traveler Hoodie by Andrea Mowry. Now Andrea Mowry has been hosting a spin it to knit it knit along. It's a year-long knit along, and it is for her Traveler pattern series. There is a Traveler hoodie, now there is a Traveler hat, there's also the Traveler shell, I'm assuming, and I know there's a Traveler crew neck. I don't know what else is there, but it is a very nice stitch pattern, and after I worked the hat, I know that this is the pattern that I would really like. And the hoodie again feels something that's so inviting, so cozy, so comfortable, and I really want to cast that on. Now this is made using sport weight yarn, but what I am looking at using is this yarn. This is called Loft from Hello Stella Fibers, and this is the spilled oil colorway, or spilled petroleum I think. And you can see how she's translated that colorway into dyeing this yarn. It's beautiful. It's exactly what you would think of when you think of spilled oil. This is supposed to be fingering weight, but when I look at it, it's very, very close to sport weight, or at least it's very thick fingering weight. I don't know how this is going to, I don't know if people would make a sense of how thick the fiber is when I hold it that way, but I still feel like I need to when I'm talking about it. Now this yarn is also known to fluff up a lot after blocking, and so again I'm waiting to make a swatch, see if that will work. I have enough of this yarn to make the Traveler hoodie, and I'm hoping to make use of that. The last part of my summer knitting plans are accessories. The first one is the Pilsen blanket. I will put a picture of it here. I have been working on this for 2 years. It's not even that big a blanket. It's the size of a throw, and it is Tunisian crochet. But somehow after I've started knitting, I've not been very keen to go back and finish this blanket. But this year I feel I've got to finish it and have it ready so I can use it during the fall and winter. The colors also, if you notice, are very winter friendly colors, and I really want to make sure I'm done with it by then. It is also going to make it's also going to empty space and make room for more yarn, and I am looking forward to doing that. I also want to cast on the Party Line scarf. Now for this, I want to be using Purl Soho's Goodwill in the colorway Fern Green. This is again yarn that's left over from my John Arbin Textiles test knit, and I am hoping to finish the scarf with that. The scarf looks like a very entertaining, easy, repeatable pattern. I have the pattern, I've gone through it, I cast out a swatch, and it seems to be working really well with that yarn. It is a sport weight yarn. The pattern calls for a sport weight yarn, so I hope both the pattern and the yarn go really well together. Now this is the yarn I was talking about that I did not want to look at because I'd made the head kerchief with it, but I am hoping when I'm ready to use the wool again, I would be able to match with the head kerchief and a neck kerchief with the same kind of yarn and see how it could play off. I also want to knit the Solvarg cowl. It is a color work knit, and I want to knit it with leftovers from my April cardigan. So I've got Galileo, Knit Picks Galileo yarn. It's a sport weight yarn again, and the Solvarg cowl calls for sport weight yarn. So I'm hoping both of them work well together. I have the yarn in the colorway Quartz. I have one skein in the colorway Solaris. I think it's a bright yellow color, and one in the colorway Apollo. It is a very mild rose colored colorway, and I'm hoping all of them put together would play really well with the cowl, give it some bright pops of color, and that I'll be able to enjoy it in the fall. The last one is my penny gloves, which is a carryover from winter knitting plan to spring knitting plan to now summer knitting plans, and I'm hoping I would have the energy to cast it on and complete it this summer. Now, apart from all the patterns I spoke about, there are two simple rules I want to follow, rules that I have made for myself because I feel it is a need at this point. The first rule is to not apply for test knits at all because I have enough on my plate for now, and I do not want to add on designs and then not be able to complete them or push away some of the planned knits into winter and stress myself in winter. I want to give myself enough time in winter to think and plan knits for myself, and also think about what I want to do next year. So I want to give that space for sure, and make sure my winter fall knitting is very simple, very peaceful, and more relaxed, and concentrated more towards just knitting for myself or tiny gift knit accessories. So the first rule is not to sign up for chest knits. It is pretty challenging, but I'm gonna try and stick to the rule. The second one is to make sure I knit slow. Now, although I have this many knits, some of them are already on the needle, a lot of them are accessories, and I want to make sure I give myself time to finish each of the projects and not rush them at all, to give enough knitting time for each of them. And also, I want to enjoy the outdoors. I want to enjoy summer. I want to make sure I have other activities in my life other than just knitting. I want to make sure we have some good home cooked food, and read a few books, listen to podcasts probably while walking or biking. And so I want to make sure I have enough time open for all of these other activities, and not just stay so focused on knitting alone. So I want to knit slow, spread my knitting out, and just enjoy the process as much as I can. With that, I hope I have inspired you. I know this is a short video, but I hope I've inspired you in some way to think of your own knitting plans. If you have very specific summer knits that you were thinking of, please mention those in the comments below. I would love to have a look at what you are thinking of when you think of summer knitting. So happy knitting, everybody. I hope you enjoy the outdoors. I hope you enjoy summer, and I hope you enjoy your knitting as well. So until next time, bye-bye.